Hi crafters, welcome back to the second tutorial for the Fruit and Flora G45 Legacy album. So I talked about in the last video that I was going to show you what I had used on the spine of my mini album, and what I used was actually is Craft Text, and this is a color that I used on the spine, and I really like the color of this, but I did not like how stiff this was on my spine, so I am not going to use it again. We're going to go to something else different this time. You're welcome to use this, and basically what I did was put this over the spine and just covered over from probably overlapping a couple of inches. So it's just more like you would put on cardstock. It's nothing really different than doing that, but I'm not going to do that this time. I am going to try a different way. If you have any questions, let me know though. So we're going to get started on working on the pages. So by now, pages in the inside of the cover, I guess I should say. So right now, after the last tutorial, you should have 6 pages already all set, and those good to go. And one of the things that I worked on off camera was my hinge system for the book, and I'll show you that in a minute. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut out some of our papers. I have some of them cut and primed. I'm going to have to pull out some of the other papers in a minute too. But the other thing to get ready for the front and back covers is this piece of paper, and it's the one that has that on the back. And this was 9 7/8 by 9 7/8, and you're going to need 2 of those. The other thing that I did was for the spine. When I cut these pages for the front, I didn't want to waste any of the papers, especially this one, because like I said, it's my favorite, one of my favorites papers. So what I did is the shorter off cutting from these 2 pages, I actually took and glued them together, and there is a center line down the middle. I have got to cut off, I'd say about 1/4 of an inch on both of those to make it so that it'll fit the spine on my my book. But what I thought I would do, because there's a line down the middle, I'm going to actually take a piece of seam binding, and I'm going to put that down the middle of this, and then I'll just put my embellishments that I want on here down the middle of that. And that way, if you look at this, you can see that it doesn't even look like it's 2 pieces of paper. And that way I'm not wasting any of the scraps or any of the additional elements from cutting out of the paper. I wanted to make sure I kept that well, or keep that good. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and do some cutting on this right now. You see I have you may or may not be able to see, I have a pencil mark right here where I'm going to cut, and I'm actually going to cut right inside that so that I take that cut mark, that pencil mark off, and I'm going to do the same thing on this other side so that I can try to get that even on both sides. And this is the Fiskars Precision cutting. I have tried many different cutting machines, and I will tell you that from We Are Memory Keepers to other Fiskars, I find that this one is the one that I like best. So as you can see, then that fits just perfectly on the spine. These scraps I cut off, I'm going to keep those because they're going to be good. I can use them on another page. I can use them for making tags. So I put that in my big bin to save those. Right now what I want to do is take a piece of score tape, and I'm going to run a piece of score tape down the middle of this. And I'm actually going to move this for now and bring back that in, and we'll work on that. I find that putting the score tape down for the seam binding is a good way to keep that down and sturdy. So alrighty. And we'll just take that seam binding and get it as close to the middle. Actually, I'm going to do this. So we have it 6 to 3.5. So I want to go 1.5 to 1.5. So it's really on the quarter mark is right where we want to put that. If you're good at eyeballing, then that's the best thing to do. I'm not so good at eyeballing it sometimes. Okay, oh, there it is. I'm like, what did I do with my score tape? Going to take a small piece here and a small piece here, and we've got that. We'll get that down, and then that'll just go down underneath our spine piece. And so I'm going to get the paper down on the front and the back, and then we're also going to work on getting some of the covers worked on, and we'll see how long this takes, whether we'll go on to other items or sections. Now what I've been doing is I haven't been distressing the edges on my papers as far as making them, you know, real distressed along the edges. I've been more or less just using my vintage photo along the edges of my papers so that the white just isn't showing from the core of the paper. So, especially with a navy base or a black base for the mini album, that works much better to have it so that it doesn't show quite so bright around the edges. Now, let me just see. Each side looks good. As you can see in my base here, or my spine, I have a little bit of a hump, and that I think came from my my score tape and kind of how I put it on a little funky. So I am going to, I know that once this is on, it's not going to show, so it should be good. So let's get our spine piece on. As you've seen before, it just doesn't want to work. I think I need to take this top off and clean it all out. I just did the other day though. There we go. And as you're going to find that the majority of the gluing that I'm going to be doing, or putting the papers down, I will be using primarily the art glitter glue. And while this may look like it's a real lot that I'm putting on, it's a very thin strip of that going on as I fling my papers. The nice thing with art glitter glue versus the score tape is you have a little bit of time to move or to wiggle it around, making sure that you've got proper coverage on that. where you have it even on all sides. There we go. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put these papers down on our covers, and like I said, I always like to dry fit first, making sure that I've got everything right. And these I already edged them with the vintage photo. So aren't these colors gorgeous? The purple is probably my most favorite out of this paper. So that's why I tried to highlight some of the purple right on the cover. I thought it was purple plum. Oops. Don't be afraid that if it's not right exactly where you want it to be, to pull it off again. And I like to make sure that this front edge is good. And sometimes I have to go back and put more glue on it. So apologize here, I just want to make sure I get it down right. And then let's go to the back. Okay, and again, this one was edged already too. Sometimes I think I should open up this bottle a little bit more because some of these pages are very large for putting glue down. And I think we're pretty good there. Might be a little bit off here. I could pull that down just a little bit. I think we're good. That's pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty good. So we've got our book covered like that. Now on the back of this mini album, we took and put 2 of the chipboard pieces and 1 of the ephemera pieces on the back. I am not putting this down, but I will put some of this down with the other items. I'm going to see how those look though, because again, this was solid and now we've got pattern paper on the back. So let's see how those are going to look. And I've got all our ephemera and our chipboards here. So Bloom with Grace was put right here. And I had Friendship here. And this one here. And I'm not going to put any, you might think I should put some paper behind that, but I'm going to put something in there, and I'm just not quite sure what I'm going to be doing right this second. So we can go ahead and we can glue these down. And I'm just looking at, there's a little bit of a, a little bit of a lump in the middle here. I wonder if that's just because of the way I've got it laying. My concern is this, and I'm wondering if I shouldn't put something down the back here so that it doesn't bobble like that. I'm going to check out and see what tape I've got, and I'll be right back. Okay, so what I did was I tried to pull out some of my foam tape, but that was not working. So what I decided to do was take some cardstock, and I doubled it, and I just simply cut out a piece that will fit on this side, and it will go over here. So we're going to do that on both sides of this chipboard so that it doesn't bounce around on there. And the reason for that is that if something catches it, it could come off too easily. So I just want to make sure that I have it as stable as possible. So I'm just going to cut off around some of these edges. No great trick in this at all. Actually, I have to say that part of this, I watch a lot of card videos too, as well as mini albums, and I frequently see Christy Marcotte, who does cards. She does the how many cards can you do in one 6x6 paper pack, and she frequently does this when she has cutouts or something that's layered very heavily. So as you can see, now that we've put that in the middle, we don't have the rocking going on any longer. So I'm going to do that for that one. This one I don't think I'm going to have to do that with. I just want to leave enough room that I can put something on there. And I'm going to do the same thing for this one. And just use my scraps. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect or anything like that. It just has to be thick enough so that it grabs on to level it out. And no one's going to see that underneath there, so it's nothing to really worry about. To make that, yep, I need to make that a little shorter. I think that's a little better. I've got a little bit of a thicker piece here. And it doesn't matter that one is thicker width-wise than the other. It's just about creating that balance for the piece. That's going to be important. So we'll just have enough room in between and put that down. My apologies if I get my head in the way or you can't see something. I haven't done a lot of YouTube videos actually doing a whole tutorial, so I try to keep everything in frame, but I know that I'm not always, not everything stays in frame. Get rid of those, and if we then look at this, see this is much more flat and even as well. So I'm going to just eyeball this, and I'm going to put my art glitter glue and along here so it attaches to the ribbon as well. And I'm going to measure this from the top down, kind of looking at about 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch. And see how nice and level that is now? That works out really well. And we'll get this other one down. One of the other things that I really would be interested to know for those of you that like to watch tutorials of other crafters or creating mini albums, what's your ideal length for a video? Because I was concerned about possibly making them too long, not long enough, not enough information. What are some of your thoughts behind that? If you could leave that in the comments below, I'd really appreciate that. My thought is to try to keep the tutorials to about an hour, maybe a little less. Oops. Well, that's not good. I don't want it to make them too long, but I know too, as a crafter, sometimes I binge watch. So sometimes I like a tutorial that lasts for a long time, because I can see the whole thing then. So we're going to leave that open so we can slide something in, or I'll cut something out to go inside of that. But we'll put our butterfly on at the end. These items won't get damaged as we're working on the mini album. So it's all good. All right. So then what I'd like to do next is to get going and doing the cover. So the next thing we need to do is get out our paper for the purple layer on there. And you'll have to go to your patterns and solids. I've been trying to use that for my solid colors starting off. And what I took was this one from my patterns and solids. Get that out. And going to move a few things here. Get our trimmer out. And we're going to cut this pattern or paper down to 9.5 by 9.5. Does anybody else do that? I really dislike leaving these ends on when I'm cutting my paper. I don't know why, I just don't care for it. So let's go to, we're going to do 9.5 and make sure we're straight here. No, I'm going to go this way because the bottom edge is, I always feel, is a little bit straighter than what I cut from the factory. So it's 9.5. By 9.5. Right, get a cover down, and you can see how that's going to fit in there like that. So let's get our vintage photo. Like I said, I'm not really distressing it as much as I'm just taking the white off of the edge of the paper. All right. After this, what we're going to do, and I'm going to, not going to do it on camera because I'm not very good at fussy cutting. So, but what I want to do is to get the signature page out, and we will fussy cut out a section of that paper, and I will show you what we're going to do. And so the other thing that I did with the fussy cutting of the paper, the signature sheet, is I backed it with navy blue cardstock because I wanted to give it just a little bit more lift and dimension. And I wanted to put it on some chipboard, but some of the finer cuts on the flowers and the butterfly is a little bit too fine. So I did not do that. But grab your signature pages, and I'm going to grab mine. And so this is our signature page. So basically what I had done with this is I started by cutting out through here and went through here and then up around the tag, and I don't remember if I cut out some of those or not because it's covered by the flowers anyways, but cutting out down through here, and or actually, you know what, no, I cut down through here in the strawberries, and then back that on the navy blue cardstock, and we're going to add that to the bottom of this page, so there'll be looks like another layer on here, and then we're going to add some of the chipboard and the other pieces. So go ahead and take out your page, and we can get cutting on that. Thank you. I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, crafters, while I'm back, I fussy cut out my signature page, and you can see mine isn't perfect, but then I glued it onto some navy blue cardstock. You can see I'm not very perfect right in here, but we're going to be putting some flowers on there and some flowers over here. So once that's cut out, we're going to put that on our page here with our art glitter glue. And then we'll get a few of the other items done. One of them I'm gonna start, but I'm not going to finish it today because I used some golden cardstock, and I don't want to cut a whole sheet for just a small piece like that. I want to wait till I get using that. So I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a minute. So that goes down. The other thing is make sure that you use your vintage photo or whatever you like to clean up the white marks. You can use a black marker for that. You can use other darker colors if that's what you want. Vintage photos is really my favorite, so that's what I frequently use. I have used the black because I was doing a black base, and I just found that I was getting it everywhere. on my papers, my hands, my everything, so I don't do that anymore. So then if we do the other part of this, there is a piece of chipboard that I put over here on the front of the book, and I did this in chipboard so I could lift this up a little bit, but this is the really lightweight chipboard. You can use that like even the back of a cereal box or a cereal box itself, and this was cut in 1 3/4 by 6 inches. And then my navy blue cardstock that I'm going to put down on here, I'm going to put it down the exact same shape and size. I'm also going to go around this and darken up those edges as well to make sure that they just blend in with the back of the album. But it's on this piece that I had done golden colored cardstock, or from the Patterns and Solids, on top of the navy blue, which I'm going to wait till I have a scrap or something of that or a cut off. I just don't want to cut into that paper without having used some of it for a larger piece. So we're going to wait to do that. And on here, once we put the golden paper down on here, we are using, I said in my video that these were stickers, but they actually were 2 of the ephemera pieces. They're going to go down here with a sticker in the middle, is how I have that laid out. So that's how it's going to look. But I used the golden tone paper. I tried using the purple or the plum color on here because of the changes, but I really liked that golden color because it brought out a little bit more life to the cover. And on here, I thought it just gave, I'm trying to keep the tonality so it's blending with all the different colors on the cover. And then up here, what we had done is basically centered, or kind of off-centered this chipboard, and I put this sticker. This is a sticker, and I backed it on a piece of navy blue cardstock and just fussy cut that out, just because I needed something a little bit more up here. I didn't want to leave it completely empty. So we're going to do that first, and I popped the center of that out, and I think I'm going to try going around the edges of this just so it doesn't look quite so much like cardboard. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of our foam tape and I'm going to pop this up into the center of that piece of chipboard. It just gives it a little bit of depth and dimension to the project. I like the foam tapes much better than I like foam dots. I just feel like I'm pulling off pulling off backing forever and ever. So my big roll of foam tape, and we should be good to go. Right. Now, also, I know a lot of crafters, what they do when they use the stickers or do additional foam tape, they like to put art glitter glue on the tape, and I do it as well when I remember. I can't say that I do it all the time because I don't. I forget very frequently when I'm crafting or creating. I just don't remember. So if you remember, it's a good thing to do because art glitter glue, again, is very permanent. So we've got that down. And I'm going to go ahead and put this down as well. And this is a sticker off of your sticker sheet. And you can pick this sticker, you could pick a different one if there's one that you wanted, but I wanted something that was a little small that would fit right in there. And again, we're going to just put this off to the side for right now until we have that yellow paper or golden paper to do that. And you know, these kinds of things are good to use your little pieces for. You. I know that some people often wonder, why do I save all those little pieces? At the end of a project, I'll look at it and see if there are things that I could get rid of that I know I'm not going to be able to use again. So I don't save every little piece, but they're good while you're working on it. Now, we're going to finish off one more item, and that is the corners. And there's not really a right or wrong corner to use. Use the ones that you like the best. And I have bought several of these from Butterbee Scraps. Now, it's under a different ownership now than when I bought these, but I believe that she still carries all of these corner pieces as well. I'm going to use this one, I think. And again, there's no right or wrong corner, just whatever you would like for your project. And I just like the way this almost looks like a, well, let me pull that out. It almost looks like a thistle. And my mother was born and raised in Scotland, so I tend to be a little more, so it looks like a thistle in there. It's not really, but it's close enough. So I'm going to use these corners on my front cover, and I just need 2 of them. The other thing that I used on the front were one of these bigger leaves. And so actually I think, oh wait, no, I didn't use this one. I think I keep these packages only because they have the numbers on there, so I know what they are if I want to reorder. Actually, it's this leaf I used on the cover, one of these, and that's 886-B. And the corner that I'm using here, let me see if I can find that. It's this one. Sorry about all the crackling. That was HD 901-B. Again, I don't know if she is, oh wait, that's not, oh, that's this one, sorry. It's, yeah, HD 901-B. Sorry for all the crackling, I apologize. So I used one of these. Let's take this out and we can leave it out for later. I'm not going to put that on until the very end, but I'll just leave it out in my embellishments. And then I used a couple of these leaves. They were 671-B. And I think I used 2 of those on the front. I do have the smaller ones similar to that too, but I was going to use one, but I didn't like the way it looked because I was using much bigger leaves. So I decided to just stay with the bigger leaves. So that's what they look like. The nice thing about these is these are bendable too if you ever want to bend them on your project. I don't necessarily do that, but I never know. You might have a great, a great idea. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get our corners on our project. and I've put them, ooh, that looks bent. See, good thing for bending. And this will go on right here. I used my art glitter glue for both of those. And I just went along and put glue in any of these flat areas. And then I left them to dry. Our other one. The other thing that you could use for this as well is matte medium. That also works well for putting down metal embellishments. But I find that my art glitter glue works really well. Got a little messy there. I have not ever had a problem with it, so I'm just going to keep using it unless something happens. Got too much in there. So that's the corners on there, and then we'll put this down. The next thing that I wanted to do before we finish is I want to finish off embellishing on these pieces. Okay, tell me what I did with my beads. They were right here. Okay, one more look. Here they are. All right, and what I did with these is these are from G45 and just a couple of items from my stash. And what I usually do is I put a glob of art glitter glue into those spots, and I use the smaller ones. I wonder, see, the bigger ones stick up so much, and I think they're fine on a card or something that's a little bit more protected, but on the front cover or spine, I just think that it could be pulled off too easily. Oops, see, like that. So I just put those in as, well, goodness sakes. My finger must be sticky. So I'm going to put those both in there, and then I'm going to do the same down here. It's a little trick that I've seen Tammy use at Country Craft Creations, using her scissors to pick up the little doodads, and been very successful for me. So, except for this one. Anyways, we won't play with that anymore. But so that kind of finishes that off a little bit as well. So that's our cover and our spine. Now on the back of this, what I had done is I put one of the cut-aparts and a border across the back, just because I wanted to give it a little bit of interest, and if wanted to put some information on the back of when the book was created, it could be written on the back of that ephemera card. So I'm just going to cut out those items, and I'll be back with you in just a couple of minutes. Thank you. Hi crafters, welcome back. I should say welcome back to me. It's been a little while. I am just getting the things ready for the back of the book, and I just wanted to show you something really quick. This is the reason why I really like this cutter, is that if I have a little snippet I need to take it off because I didn't cut it well enough, this really does the trick. So what I've gotten out here is the border strip page, and what I did was cut out the center of the border strip page to get my cut apart for the back, and we're going to take and put those away. And then I took and cut out from the middle of these border strips this border strip. So we're going to take these two items and we're going to use those for the back of our book. And very, very simple. We'll take and hit the edges of this cut apart, as well as the edges of this. A lot of times when I'm doing the cutting for my albums, for the papers, I don't necessarily always measure everything out with an exact ruler. Sometimes I like to just eyeball it, but this one will be cut at 9 7/8 because that's what we cut this at. So I'll just bring this in real quick and put that in and put that in my scrap, my little scrap bin, and this should fit perfectly across here. All right, and with that, I'm not going to make it into a belly band or anything. It's just really for decoration to put on the back, and then to be able to document this album if the recipient wants to do that, or if I want to do that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the albums yet. Come on, straighten out. There we go. And then with this, I just took and put this in the center of the album, and this is where the writing can go on the back of this. All right. Try to center that up. Okay, and that works pretty well. So basically that really gets us to the front and the back. The only thing we don't have is this piece right here, because we want to wait till we get some more of that yellow cardstock or pattern paper. And but we've got pretty much everything done. We'll add the flowers as well as the butterflies and everything at the very end, because don't want to damage that as we're working on it. But one of the things that we also had talked about was doing the hinge system. And so the next time we come back, I'm going to walk through this hinge system. We're also going to walk through covering the inside of the book. And let me know if you have any questions that I can answer between now and then. And I'll explain a little bit about how I've done the hinge system on this book. I'm trying something different again. I haven't landed on everything that I want to do yet, but we'll go through that next time. So until then, crafters, stay crafty, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.